Two books we're going to look at today are both unusual books, not what you'd call mainstream reading. The first book is The Third Policeman by Flann O'Brien. He wrote under several names. This is maybe one of the names he wrote under, but this is what we know it as. A noted Irish writer, admired by James Joyce, and you can see why when you read this book. It is what I would call, they're calling it comic. Everything on the cover of his books is a wonderful comic novel. I don't see it as comic, unless they mean comic as irony. I don't see this as a comic novel. It's not something you'd push away from you saying, please, no more. No more comedy. It is surreal. There are some very surreal things happening here, and after death experiences and almost on that level philosophical probing, but wonderful dreamlike stuff all the way through. And some phrases that once you read them, it's doubtful you'll ever lose them. And it's been many years since I read this book, but I went back and found the sort of phrase that typifies what you're going to read in this wonderful book. The road was narrow, white, old, hard, and scarred with shadow. It ran away westwards in the mist of the early morning, running cunningly through the little hills, and going to some trouble to visit tiny towns which were not, strictly speaking, on its way. Now that is a just wonderful description of a road, and the towns that were not really truly on its way. Wonderful paradox. Oscar Wilde, G.K. Chesterton would welcome and recognize this wonderful paradox. Entertaining, again, but not so much comic. There's a subplot of a scholar that runs all through the novel. Perhaps that's what they might refer to the comic element of the novel. But for me, it was surreal. A very clever opening about almost like Dostoevsky-like crime and punishment of a crime that is committed, and I don't want to give too much of the story away, but very clever how the author moves with the interrogation of not only the prisoner, but also the victim. And you'll see what I mean when you read this. So Flann O'Brien, really, The Third Policeman, not for, I want to say it's not, I don't recommend it for all tastes. It might not be for all tastes. So, but if you're looking for something unusual, something that's challenging, but will not leave you, it challenged me to find the comedy, and I couldn't find it. So, but you may not only see it, but you'll see that there's, even without the comedy, there's a lot of other things happening in this novel that is worth the read. All right, the second book we're looking at is another unusual book, and this one is called Picnic at Hanging Rock by Joan Lindsay. And this, as I said, another unusual novel, but more accessible than The Third Policeman, and but as unusual in some ways. It's about a 1900 Australia boarding house in the back of beyond, and they organize a trip to Hanging Rock. And while there, I'm not giving anything away. You can't go anywhere near this book without seeing it. A number of the girls disappear. So you would think that this is a whodunit, and it might be a whodunit, but it is far more intriguing than that. And it reads like a report from a newspaper. It is compelling. It is mysterious. It is not Agatha Christie. This is a book that sort of brings you into the characters without first having had to develop a lot of the characters who later go missing. There are one or two main ones. Miranda is the one that you will recognize, and there's the author does a wonderful job of creating the whole as such as it could be then created, the media frenzy around what happened to these girls. So you're invested in this right away, and you're taken straight through to the end. I won't give any. There's not much to give away after that. Just that it's an amazing suspension the author creates, and of how this is going to be resolved. And the other thing that you may look at, Peter Weir, the great Australian director, made a movie of this, Picnic at the Hanging Rock, and it too is worth time given to it. It is wonderfully done. When I had read the novel and saw the book, you just wonder how, sort of like Lord of the Rings, where you say, that couldn't have been any more accurate. Weir did a great job of this with this material. The casting was perfect. Costumes, the whole setting of what you're looking at here, from text to screen, very well done. And one of the things that you don't see a lot of is copying this book. I haven't read a lot of authors successfully copying the effects of this book. And because there's very little resolution, let me put it that way. So when you're writing, unless you can do what Lindsay did and actually make it work, I would say this is a very dangerous template for lesser authors to follow this and say, well, I may not bring it to the same resolution. You better bring it to a resolution, unless you can do what she's done. And anyway, these are two both unusual books, Third Policeman, Flann O'Brien, and Joan Lindsay's Picnic at Hanging Rock. If you're looking for something a little bit different, you can't go wrong with these two.